Hi, everybody. My name is Jim Cerny. I'm a Vice President of STUG, the Sarasota Technical Users Group, based in Sarasota, Florida, but we get people in classes and meetings from all over the country, and I think a couple of people from Canada. So today's class, today is Tuesday, November 11th, and this is another class in basic Windows in a series that I'm teaching. And this particular class is going to be about security, Windows security. And before we get into that, I want to cover something that I didn't in my previous classes about using a shared thumb plug-in drive, an additional external drive to your computer. That works very well with Windows Explorer, Windows File Explorer, that we talked about for the last two classes. So we're going to cover that, and then we'll get into security. So again, my name is Jim Cerny. If you have any questions or comments during the class, please, you don't have to mute yourself. If somebody is noisy in the background, I'll let you know. But you can interrupt at any time with a question or comment. And are there any questions before we get started? The last two classes on Windows File Explorer, you attended those or watched the video. I'm sure that you got into that. That was a very important two classes for Windows. Any questions? All right, very good. I hope everybody's nice and toasty warm today.
Yeah, right.
Before we start getting into Windows security, I want to talk about a little continuation of the Windows File Explorer app, and that is how to use that app when you use a thumb drive. Now, I'm going to hold up a sample. These little thumb drives, they're not very big, and certainly they come in all sizes. You can get a larger block drive. It's an external drive. It plugs into the USB port. So today I'm going to show you how to use a thumb drive. It won't take long because you've already had the classes on Windows File Explorer. Okay, so let me share my screen. See if I can figure out where to do that. I know there's something with the host tools. Let me try that. Oh, no, there's share. That's right. I get confused because host tools has share screen, but it's for the host to allow other people to share the screen from their computer. I have a separate share that I'm going to click on now to share my screen. Let's see if it works. And I'm going to click share.
It's working.
It's working.
It's working.
It's working. Let me see if I can get rid of that. And then I don't need this anymore. Okay, you should see a nice flowing little brook.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right. Now, previous classes, we talked about Windows Explorer, which is exploring Windows on your computer, not exploring the internet. Windows Explorer is not to explore the internet, it's to explore files and folders on your computer or devices, memory devices that are connected to your computer, okay? So I'm going to open up File Explorer. The icon is a folder-looking icon. If it's on your desktop, you're going to left-click twice. If it's down on your taskbar, you only need left-click once. So I'm going to open up File Explorer. And let's see if I can move you guys off to the side here a little bit. Oops. No, not that. Wait a minute. There we go. Okay. So here's Windows File Explorer, the home screen. I think I failed to mention that you get some tabs here. This is Windows 11, not Windows 10. It's Windows 11. So it's a little bit different. And question? No? Okay. The recent thing is lit up here. So the list displayed here is for the recent ones. And you can click favorites. I have no favorites and I have no shared. And somebody's calling me right now. Let me see who it is and we'll see. They're leaving a voicemail. I don't know who it is. It could be a student wanting to join.
And you want me to make you a cup of coffee?
No, thanks. I have my drink right here.
Virtue.
Thanks anyway. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, as we know in Windows File Explorer, we have the folders over here and the contents of a folder you click on. If I click on Documents, the contents of the Documents folder is displayed over here. All right, but right now, if we go down this list of folders, we only see the local C disk, which is the main disk for your computer. Someday I'll tell you what happened to A and B disk drives, but that's history. The main disk for all Windows computers is called the C disk, all right? If you plug in or attach another memory device, Windows will assign it the next letter. So the next, if I plug in a device, which I'm going to do, the next letter will be D assigned to that device. And so long as I leave the device connected, you don't have to disconnect it. You can leave it connected all the time if you want. It will forever be known as device D until you disconnect it. If you plug in more than one memory device at a time, each one will be given the next letter designation. So if I plug this device in, it should come up as device labeled D, as in dog. If I plug in another device with memory, it will be given the designation E, as in easy. So let's plug this in and see what happens on File Explorer. You don't have to have File Explorer when you plug in a device, but I have it open so you can see how File Explorer accepts the drive. So I'm going to plug it in now into my USB port. There we go. And I hear a ding, ding, ding. That lets me know that it's been connected. And look, I get a new designation here, local disk D. And the whole disk, the whole drive is a folder. And in the local disk D, if I click on it, these are the three folders that are in this drive. And the three folders are listed here in the folder list. Remember, if I click the arrow, it compresses and does not display the folders in the folder list column. But if I do click the arrow points down, and indented slightly is the list of the folders that are in local disk D. And they are the same folders that are here. Now, at this point, there's nothing more to teach you. That's it. Because you can access these folders, you can move things into them, you can create new folders, you can delete, you can copy, you can do anything in Windows File Explorer on your plug-in drive that you could on your regular computer. All it does is give you the new drive designation as a full folder, and then you can open, add folders, or whatever you want. I have this temp folder in here that I created today for the class, so I better open it so I get some use out of it, right? You just double click it, and there's the contents of the temp folder. It has 3 folders in it and no files. If I open up the class teaching folder, bloop, bloop, it has 3 folders in that, and 1, 2, 3, 6 files. They are not listed here because the temp folder has the arrow pointing to the right, which indicates there are folders in the temp folder, but they're not listed in the folder column. If I click on the arrow, it points down on the local disk and temp folder, it points down, and the folders are slightly indented that are in the temp folder, which are these three folders. And you can always tell where you're at up here. I'm on my local disk D in the temp folder, and in that folder, I'm in the class teaching folder. And if I click this arrow, point it down, there are the three folders that are in the class teaching folder. They're slightly indented, and those three folders are here because the highlight tells me what folder is being displayed over here. Whatever you click on the left, it highlights and the contents is displayed on the right. And that's really about it. I wanted to cover this, but forgot in our previous classes about Windows File Explorer. And I would like to open it up now for questions on using, one more thing, very important, I'm sorry. When you're done using a drive and you want to disconnect it from your computer, you should not just go and unplug it. The reason for that, excuse me, is that there is a chance that you could be writing or receiving information off of that drive. And if you unplug it when it's in the middle of trying to update that drive, you're going to have a problem. So some drives have a light on them. And if the light comes on your plug-in drive, it usually means that that light is flashing. It usually means that it is active and information is being sent or read from that drive. So you don't ever just want to go unplug a drive. Here's how you correctly disconnect a drive from your computer. You come down to your taskbar, and on the right end of the taskbar, you have the date and time, you have your battery capacity status, the volume control, whether you're on the internet, and then you have this arrow pointing up, which when you move your mouse onto it says show hidden icons. And if you click that, you get some hidden icons that would not fit in your tray because space is limited on the right end. And this is the icon that's so important for this class. This icon right here, which is a little plug-in drive. It looks like a little plug-in drive. And if you move your mouse on it, you get a box that says, safely remove hardware and eject media. So what you do is you click on that icon that looks like a little drive. And I'm going to do that now. Click. And then you get a list of all the external drives connected to your computer. You could have 2, 3, 5, 10 of them, whatever. I only have one external drive connected. And it has a name Cruiser Glide. I guess that's the brand name of the drive. But you see underneath it says local disk D, which matches the D designation. Okay, so I'm going to click on eject. And then you don't get any message. It used to give me a message, safe to remove drive, but it doesn't give you that message anymore. But it is safe to remove. And I can now unplug my drive. And I hear a tone, doo-doo, and here's my drive. So let me go through that again real quick, because it is important. You do not just want to unplug a drive. You want to go to your taskbar, click the arrow to show hidden icons, because you have to get to the icon that looks like a drive, a little drive. Then you would click on that icon and you get a list of all the drives connected. Maybe you probably only have one extra drive connected at a time. And you click on that and it stops the drive from being used. And you can then safely remove the drive. Okay? I think that was worth the time. What questions do you have about using an external drive? Have you all used one?
Yes, Jim
Yes.
McIntyre.
Yeah.
How long do you think an ordinary thumb drive should last, or will it last? And should we?
I have heard that they're pretty indestructible. I had a thumb drive years ago that I left in my pocket and put the pants in the washer and the dryer. And it worked just fine.
My
And
God.
this was years ago. I imagine they make them even better today. However, never have your life depending on one drive. If you do a backup, as I do, I back up to 2 devices so that if anything happens to one device, I have another one. In fact, I'll show you this other one. You can see me. This is an old clunky drive. It's a hard drive that actually has a spinning disk in it. It's not a solid state drive. It actually had, and it still works just fine. Now, so I think I've only had one thumb-in, the plug-in drive fail me. It does happen. Usually they're pretty robust, especially if you get a reputable brand name rather than a no-name brand from China or something. You don't know necessarily the quality that you're getting, but there are many good brands. They still may be made in China, but at least they have the brand name that they're reputable and have a reputation. This is a SanDisk, SANDISK, DISK, yeah. There are other brand names, but I think they're pretty robust. But my bottom line is don't trust everything on one drive. If you're going to copy something valuable, put it at least in 2 different drives. Any other questions?
Yes, I have a comment, and I wanted to agree with you on backing up. Back when I was teaching, I always told people to, have 2 as a backup, Murphy's Law, you don't want to lose anything. And the other thing I had, it might be interesting if people don't know, is if you, back when you're in your Windows Explorer, if you right click on that drive and go to properties, it'll tell you how much it's filled or how much space you have.
Yes,
But I didn't know if you wanted to mention that, that might be a
Yes.
little more tech than you want to share.
No, I think that's perfect. I tried to share that in the earlier classes. Like, here's the C drive for the whole computer. If I right click on that or any folder, it will come to this menu of choices and you can left click on properties. Now, this is for the whole C drive. You can see that I'm only using not even 1 gigabyte of the drive.
Wow.
And the free space is 873 gigabytes, or I'm sorry, not even 1 terabyte. But anyway, the space here is the used space is blue. The unused space is gray. You can see I have a lot of space on my C drive. You can do this with any folder.
Hey, Jim, have you ever filled up an entire computer? I'm on my Windows 10 now because I'm in the midst of transferring files to the 11, but I have totally filled up my C drive on the Windows 10, and I have never done that before. And it's a terabyte. Yeah.
Yeah, you're either a very, very bad girl or you save everything, which is good.
No, I'm not a bad girl, but I have a lot of photos and a lot of graphic files, which takes up more space.
Right. Let me show you another folder. I'll X out of this thing. Let's go to a folder, documents. Let's go to class teaching folder, okay? If I right click on class teaching folder, I still get the same menu and I get properties And now it tells me the properties of just that folder. So you can do this for any folder, including a whole drive. Okay. Now, to address your space, running out of space question, if you copy videos and you like movies and you want movies on your C drive, you could fill up your C drive with videos pretty easily, because videos, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, so if a photo is worth several pages of a document, certainly a video is worth thousands and thousands of photos, right, in memory.
Right.
My advice that I found helpful is I use Google Photos. And any photos I take with my camera on my phone, and I don't take photos from my iPad, but if I did, I could. They automatically go to Google Photos, which is off my C drive. So I don't use hardly any space. Do I have photos on my C drive? Yes, I do, but very few. All of them are going to Google Photos. And that'll save a lot of space, and it's free. I think you get 15 gigabytes, and when you put your photos on Google Photos, it puts them in a Google photo format that you don't see or deal with. But Google will somehow shrink the memory size for a photo and store it for you free in Google Photos. Then when you open Google Photos, you can see all your photos, of course. If you wish to download one, then it converts it out of whatever format Google is using and gives it photo to you in a normal photo format that you can use for your, I don't know, photo editor or whatever other software you use to work with photos. And Google Photos itself has lots of editing tools in it, built in. So you don't have to download and play with the photo. You can play with it right in Google Photos. So Google Photos can save you a lot of space. I have, you saw how little space my computer C drive has used, very, very little, because all my photos are on Google Photos and I don't save videos on my C drive. So that's a little tip. Whether it works for you or not, it's free, why not, Any other questions about File Explorer, folders, files? We didn't talk about file types. Did we talk about file types?
Oh,
I don't think we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me cover that, and then we'll get into security. I'm sure we can cover security in 20 minutes. File types. When you look at a file, I'm going to scroll down here in documents. Hang on a second. Okay. And I use the view, as we discussed, I'm using the view called the detail view because it gives me a nice list with column headings. And here's the type, the file type column. Whether you have this column listed or not, the file type is also part of the file name. It always ends in .3 or 4 characters. And those 3 or 4 characters after the dot in the file name is the file type. So .jpg is a file type JPG file. Okay, .doc or .docx is a Microsoft Word file. So the file type is a clue that tells you what software, program, or app was used to create that file. Okay. So if I use Microsoft Word and I create a document and I save that document, it will automatically be saved as a Microsoft Word file type and end with .doc if it's an old version of Microsoft Word, or .docx if it's a more recent Microsoft Word. Okay. The same thing with photos. Let's look at pictures. And we'll open up some photos here. Okay. These photos are all file type .jpg. There are several different file types that can be used to indicate a photo, because you can have different ways to create a photo from different software. Okay. So a file type generally for photos, for me in my use, I like to work with JPG photos. But there's also, look up here, here's one that's .png, a different file type. Okay. Now, why is this important and why do you care what file type it is? Well, 90% of the time you don't care. If you go to Word, a Word file, and you double click it to open it, it'll open up in Word, no problem. Okay. The fun stuff really starts when you realize that you can use, an example, Microsoft Word. You can use the Microsoft Word app to save a document in a different file type. Why would you do that? Well, if I ever send an attached Microsoft Word document to somebody else and they say, call me up, Jim, I can't open your document. I said, well, that's funny. Everybody else opened it just fine. I said, do you have Microsoft Word? No, I don't have Microsoft Word. Well, maybe that's why you can't open the document, because you don't have the software, the app that was used to create it. So I say, no problem. I'll send it to you as a text file, a text document with a text.txt file type. So I go back to my Word document, open it up, and I save it as a different file type. Now you get more into that with photos, because the Paint program will open a photo and you can save the photo as a different file type, depending on how you work with photos and so forth. So that's my short introduction to file types. Have you had any problems with file types or comments? I would welcome them. Everybody's comfy with file types. If you don't change a file, if you send a file to somebody else or somebody sends you a file, that's probably the only time that you could have a problem with a file type. They could be sending a file to you that you don't have the software or the app to open it. And that doesn't happen very much anymore. Even Word, you could use Word to open a file and it will open other file types as well. So that things are getting more robust, where a given, like the Paint program in Windows, it can open different file types of images, not just photos. Any questions about the file types? Good, good. Oh, I hope you took some good notes, because that's hot stuff. File types are good to know, good to know. Okay, let me get out of this. We're going to talk about security now, okay, which is what I promised you. I like to keep my promises. Okay, let's talk a little background about security. Years ago, people found out that some people were malicious. They were getting to be able to communicate and get into other people's computers. And they could do whatever they want once they got in there. So the industry had to come up with some kind of protection. And they came up, they called it virus protection, because you didn't want a virus to get into your computer. Okay. So I think the early term for Windows was Windows Defender. Every edition of Windows comes with a free installed active virus and security protection package. You probably never heard of it. If you never got into it, you probably don't even know what happens, but you have it. In Windows 11 and I think Windows 10, they call it Windows Security. And I have a shield icon up here. But if you do not have it, I do have it on my desktop. You can go to the Windows Start button, left click, and get this screen. In Windows 11, it has all. In Windows 10, it just lists it. And you click on all in Windows 11, and you come down to the W's for Windows. And there is Windows Security. And you can drag it to your desktop if you wish. You don't have to. So Windows Security comes with Windows and it's running. If you purchase another security package, another security app, the ticklish thing about that is you can only have one virus protection app running on your computer at a time. You cannot have two running at the same time because each one will think the other one's a virus. And that's only for virus protection. That's not for other security things, okay? Well, I'll show you the difference. So virus protection package of this Windows Security, that has to be active all the time. And it is. If you purchase another virus protection package that you pay money for example, and you want to use that package and you install that package, it will remove the Windows virus protection active from being used, and it will replace it with the package that you have purchased. And if you remove that other virus protection or security package from your computer, Windows will automatically start up the Windows security package for you. So you should never be left unprotected. Okay. You don't have to do anything special. Windows just jumps in and covers your rear end, which is nice. In the old days, if you removed a virus protection package, you had to reactivate the Windows protection package. But you don't have to do that anymore, I believe. It automatically puts itself in place. Okay, so let's take a look at Windows Security and see what we have. I'm going to open it up. Click. Okay. Now, you will notice security at a glance. And I have to say that this is the one class that I am probably really least knowledgeable in. I am not a technical security person expert by any means. Why? Because I've never had a problem. And why is that? Because I let the security work all on its own. And so that's what's happening here. I opened up the Windows Security, and here we have on the home, we have all these things here that you can play with and adjust, and they're listed here as well: virus and threat protection, account protection, firewall protection, app and browser control protection, device security protection, device performance and health. I am not going to take the time to go into all these other than to mention them quickly, because if you have a green circle with a check mark, you don't have anything to worry about. It's doing its thing, no action needed. And that for me is all the time. Now, occasionally, I'll get a pop-up in the bottom right of my screen that says, Windows Security has scanned your system and there were no problems. Do any of you ever get that notice pop up? from Windows Security that your computers are okay? I get mine about once a month. It pops up. And I don't remember if I scheduled it to do that or if it's doing it on its own or whatever. But whenever I get a message from Windows Security, it always has been no problem, nothing to do, no action needed. Okay. Now, I remember I told you about the virus protection that has to be active all the time. That's this one. Virus, well, these other ones are active all the time, but this is the main virus protection one that you need active all the time. This keeps viruses from coming in. The account protection is to protect your Microsoft account. I don't use my Microsoft account, so I don't know why this protection is on. I don't think I turned it on, but it's to protect your account from possibility anybody getting in there and messing with your account, like protecting your bank account number, that kind of thing. Firewall and network protection, again, no action needed. It's active. Usually, if I don't know the strict definitions between virus and threat protection and firewall, you can look that up on Google. But a firewall is intended from bad things getting in, like a file. Okay, so files usually are scanned before they're sent on Google email. When they attach a file to your email, the email program should be scanning it, making sure it's virus free. And then when it comes to your computer, it's probably examined to see if there's a virus in there. But you can click on these things and find out more about them. Let's click on virus and threat protection. And it tells you that there's no current threats, that it did a scan just, I guess, 2 days ago, a quick scan. I didn't know that I scheduled it. The scan lasted 39 seconds. It scanned 13,000 files. Do you get information overload like I feel they're telling you too much? Right?
Yes.
This whole package has so many options with so many things, and you can learn about them and you can turn them on and off. If your computer is working fine and you're not getting any messages from Windows Security that you have a problem, I wouldn't do anything. You're doing fine, right? Why mess with it? But here, if you want to do a quick scan and initiate the scan now, you can click on quick scan, or you can go to scan options and you can do a full scan or a custom scan or an offline scan. You know, how many options do you need, right? But they got them all. And I have to say, you know, as complicated as the options are, how do you know which options to turn on or off? I don't know. As complicated as it's presented, to me, Windows Security does a very, very good job. I have never had a problem in years of using the normal free Windows Security that comes with Windows. Never had a problem. I don't mess with the options. If I wanted to mess with an option, I would go to Google and say, why would I use quick scan in Windows Security in Windows 11? I give it specific information. What edition of Windows are you using? And what options specifically would you like to learn about? Okay. Now we can go to account protection. I'm not signed in with Microsoft because I don't use a Microsoft account. Maybe that's why my protection is so easy. Firewall and network protection. Firewall is on, firewall is on, firewall is on and active. You have to remember that Windows is also used by companies of all sizes, small companies and large companies, And many companies have their own networks. They have private networks, more than one network. And Windows can handle that, and you can protect different networks. App and browser control, I don't have a lot of this stuff turned on. I don't remember why I don't have it all turned on. I think maybe I was browsing the internet and one website that I wanted was blocked. And so I turned off the protection a little bit. Before class, I went and turned all these on and went to my usual websites, and they all worked fine. So I don't think it was blocking anything I needed, but I went back and turned it off. If you have something, and this is kind of a long list here, no, not very long. You can read about smart app control, reputation-based protection. They come up with these terms. Somebody has to sit in an office and think, what are we going to call this so they can turn it on and off? Well, let's call it reputation-based protection. Oh, okay. So somebody comes up with these terminologies, and I guess they mean something. But if I wanted to turn it on, I would turn it on here. Device security. I have no idea what all this core isolation is. Keep your device safe. There may not be an on or off option for you. It just may be doing it. Device performance and health. I don't know, no issues. It would tell me if there was an issue, right? If something would pop up on my screen. But you may want to go in here and click on these things like battery life. See what that tells us. Not much. Family options. Well, if you have kids in the family or guests that come, Windows has several ways for you to protect your computer and your data. For example, you can have a visitor login to Windows where they cannot get to your C drive or the stuff on your C drive. You can have several users use the same computer, and each user would look like they have their own C drive. And here in these options, you can set parental controls for different times that the kids can use your computer. And I believe that with browsers, you have the option of restricting websites or web pages. I think schools, they may have their own network, for example. I don't know how it works. I haven't been at school in years, but schools have limited access for their students and their computers. Even if they take them home, they can only access certain websites or memory for the school or whatever. And you can change that. And here's your protection history. It's reminding me that a couple things I have turned off. I haven't had a problem, so I'm not looking to turning them on. Filters, I imagine that's very complicated options. You can set filters for things. But I think to review and go back, when you open Windows Security, you're going to basically get this screen that tells you everything's okay. And if everything's okay and you're not getting any notices popping up in the bottom right of your Windows screen that something's wrong, I don't think you have to go back and change anything. Now, the only things that may come into effect for you is you want to check that things are green. You may want to check your device performance and health, which is all green. And I don't think you want to mess with different networks. If you're like me, you don't have a home private network where 3 or 4 computers are networked together and not connected. That connection of your local network is not part of the web. Okay. If you're like me and my wife, we have our own computers, they're connected to the internet. We don't have a private network. Okay. And if you go to a public network, like you take your laptop to Starbucks coffee, maybe there's a protection you want to activate to protect you in a public network setting. I don't take my computer to a public network setting. I take it to another home and I access the network at somebody else's house. I don't actively use the internet at Starbucks. If I did, I would probably investigate and look at how to use a public network safely in this option. Look it up on Google Drive, or I'm sorry, Google search, and ask Google, how could I protect myself in using my computer in a public network? Okay. Are there any questions? There's not much to cover because if everything is fine, you're not getting any notices. You don't have to actively go in and mess with things. But is there any question from anything I touched on here that you'd like to comment or question? We can look into it.
Jim?
Yeah.
Drew?
Yeah.
What I wanted to mention was in Windows on the screen you're at right now, domain network is basically a corporate style network that you would be connected to at work or in a school. They're typically connected to a domain, which allows them to have more granular control over the devices, what they can do, where they can go, etc. Private network is typically the one that you're around at home. That's your private network. And where your computer should really be if you're physically home. Public networks,
private network, Drew, would be your local internet connection to the internet.
Yes, everybody's home network. Yes, that's where every computer should be when they're there. And then if you go out to a Starbucks, you go into a public network. And the rules that are default for private and public are different. So when you join Starbucks's Wi-Fi, you want it to go into a public network so that, for example, by default, communication between devices is disabled by default in a public network, where you're allowed to communicate with each other on a private network. And there are different other rules that are defaulted differently based on whether you're in a private network or a public network.
Okay, thank you, Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments or questions from anybody about any kind of security issues? Excuse me. Okay, are there any other questions or comments about anything? If not, I'll wind up the class. So this is your opportunity.
Hey, Jim,
Yeah.
let me tell you something interesting that happened to me many years ago. I did a computer scan on my computer and it showed that I had a virus and I couldn't get rid of it. So I called a computer store and talked to them and they said, bring it in and we'll take care of it. So I took it into the computer store and they said they cleaned the virus off the computer and I had to pay for it and brought it home. First thing I did was to run another virus check and the virus was still there. So then I investigated and what happened is this. The virus was stored in the system restore area of the computer. And when they did the virus scan at the store, they didn't do that. They didn't know about that. So the virus came back to the computer from the system restore area of the computer.
Yeah.
And what you had to do to solve the problem was to empty your system restore completely and start all over again.
Okay. That's a good story. Let me ask a question of all attendees. Has anybody experienced a virus notice appearing on your screen that you have a virus that is legitimate? In other words, not a scam sent to you via email, but what appeared to be a legitimate, you have a virus, say in the last 5 years. Has anybody gotten any kind of virus message? I haven't either. And I think that the protection that they're doing, they update the protection levels all the time and put in the new cures or searches for the new latest viruses and so forth. So I think they're doing a pretty good job. But you're right, you're always fearful of when you have a virus, what do you do next? And thankfully, I haven't had anything less recently. Any other questions or comments? Okay, then before I close, I would like to remind you that we're not having another class in November because of the Thanksgiving holiday, and we're not having 2 classes in December because of the Christmas holiday and other holidays. So the next class will be in December, and it will be December 9th, Tuesday, December 9th. And we're going to talk about spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And spreadsheets, yeah, everybody says, yeah, I want to learn about spreadsheets. Come on. Yeah, you do. Spreadsheets can be very, very easy to use. There's only a few concepts that you need to be aware of. And once you know those concepts, you can create your own spreadsheet and you can read and understand how other people are giving you information from their spreadsheets. So that'll be the topic for next class, which will be December, let me look it up again, December 9th from 10 to 11 on the usual link for our classes on Zoom. Are there any questions? Okay, then I will sign off. I want to thank you all for attending. And this class will be recorded, and I'll send out the notice to everybody that its recording or summary is available. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Jim.
great week. Great
Yeah.
Thanksgiving,
Thanks, Jim.
everybody.
Good. We'll see you next
You
Thank you.
too.
time.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.